So what happens when an iconic piece of fashion, something you see everywhere, suddenly collides with some of the most advanced AI on the planet? Well, you get Meta's new Ray-Ban smart glasses. And let me tell you, they promise to completely change how we see the world. But they also bring up some massive, massive questions. Let's dive in.
I mean, really think about that for a second. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what if that future wasn't decades away? What if it was actually here, right now? And it fits right on your face.
Okay, so the big headline, the big claim, is that these are mind-controlled glasses. But is that really what's going on here? To figure that out, we gotta look at how they actually work, because this is so much more than just a camera on your face. It's a completely new way of interacting with technology. Now, this partnership is a huge deal. You've got Meta bringing all this powerful AI to the table, but they know most of us aren't gonna wear some goofy, nerdy-looking piece of tech. And that's where Ray-Ban comes in. They provide that iconic, cool style to make all the technology just disappear into a product people already know and love. So here's the secret sauce. The real magic isn't actually in the glasses themselves, it's on your wrist. This band uses a technology called electromyography, or EMG for short. And let's be clear, it's not reading your thoughts, not at all. Instead, it's detecting the super faint electrical signals your brain sends to your hand muscles the instant you intend to make a tiny gesture, like tapping a finger. The whole process is meant to be incredibly subtle. You basically just think about tapping your finger and boom, the band on your wrist intercepts that command before you even really move. It translates that electrical impulse and zaps the command right to your glasses. The whole goal is for it to feel completely seamless, almost like a true extension of your own body. All right, so we get how it works, but what can you actually do with it? This is where these glasses go from being a cool gadget to being, well, a personal assistant that sees the world from your exact point of view. And the list of AI features is frankly really impressive. Just imagine looking at a menu in a foreign language and seeing the translation appear right there, in your vision. Or picture having a conversation with someone and getting live translated subtitles. It's not just about snapping photos. It's about adding this whole layer of useful information directly onto your world. The potential here is just massive. We're not talking about just another gadget. This thing is poised to literally revolutionize our personal and social interactions. It could fundamentally change how we engage with everything and everyone around us. And think about the practical uses for a second. You could be cooking, following a recipe step by step without ever having to touch a screen. Or, and this is a big one, for someone with a visual impairment, this kind of tech could offer a whole new level of independence, identifying obstacles or reading signs out loud. The possibilities are huge. But, and you knew there was a but, all of this incredible power brings up some very, very serious questions. When you have convenience this great, what's the trade-off? And that brings us right to the heart of this whole debate: privacy. And look, we have to talk about the company behind all this. Given Meta's, shall we say, complicated history with user data, a device that can see and hear everything you do is of course going to face some intense scrutiny. The potential is enormous, but the risks, they're just as real. You see, every single cool feature has a flip side, a darker potential. That amazing hands-free camera? Well, to the person standing next to you, it could feel like a tool for constant surveillance. The ability to recognize objects, that's just a tiny step away from potentially invasive facial recognition. And that super helpful personalized AI, it's learning from your life, powered by your data, which could absolutely be used for hyper-targeted ads. And this really gets to the core of the consent problem. So Meta's solution is this tiny little white light that turns on when it's recording. But really, in a crowded coffee shop on a busy street, is that tiny light really enough to count as informed consent for every single person in your field of view? A lot of privacy advocates are saying it's not even close. So this leaves us with some fundamental thorny dilemmas. What data is actually being collected? Not just from the person wearing the glasses, but from everyone around them. What does consent even mean anymore in a public space? And, when this technology is inevitably misused, who's held responsible? So where do we possibly go from here? This whole conversation is so much bigger than just one product. It's really about what kind of technological future we actually want to build for ourselves.
You've really got three key players here, and they all want different things. You have the user, who wants convenience and cool new abilities. Then you've got the bystander, who just wants their privacy respected. And then there's the developer, Meta, who's driven by innovation and, of course, market success. The real challenge is finding a balance that doesn't sacrifice one for the others.
At the end of the day, these glasses are really just a test case for a future that's arriving way faster than we think. The rules that we establish right now around data, around consent, around surveillance, they won't just apply to this one gadget. They're going to set the precedent for years, maybe decades to come.
So, what's the answer? Well, it's definitely not simple, but it has to start somewhere. We need ironclad security encryption. We need privacy policies that a normal human being can actually read and understand. We need a real public conversation about the ethical lines we are not willing to cross. And we have to make sure that these powerful tools don't just create an even bigger divide between the haves and have-nots.
Ultimately, it all just boils down to this one question. As these devices become our eyes and our ears on the world, we have to ask ourselves, are we controlling the technology, or is it starting to control us? And that's a question we all really need to be thinking about.